unprecedented look inside the operations of ISIS. Vice News spent 3 weeks embedded with the militant fighters for an up-close look at the group's efforts to recruit young people to its cause. Here's a look. In the militant group's self-declared Syrian capital, Vice News cameras capture a rare and remarkable look inside the world of ISIS militants and their influence on the younger generation. Inside this mosque, militants deliver their message to a packed room of men and boys. Declaring war with the enemies of Allah, they are asked to sacrifice their money and their lives for the establishment of an Islamic State. This 11-year-old boy says he came to swear allegiance to the terror group's leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Here, an ISIS member asks his young son, "Why do we kill the infidels? What have they done?" "They kill Muslims," the boy replies. Vice News cameras were also rolling during this celebration, the reporter describing it as an important recruitment opportunity for ISIS. The rally, a startling reality of how youth are indoctrinated by the militant group. And a truly startling look inside this militant operation that you've never really seen before, thanks to Vice News.
Pause. Isn't that what the hell the Boy Scouts are? The Cub Scouts? Eagle Scouts? Isn't it the same damn thing? I mean, you got white people indoctrinating their kids to become white soldiers and then go all over the world killing people on behalf of the white people. They're doing the same thing. I mean, that's what enemies do. Right.
Further, though, with Harris Rafiq. He is the outreach officer for Quilliam, a think tank dedicated to reducing extremism. Harris, thank you so much for your time. I know you were watching that, and you're probably as amazed as I am when I see that video and the access that Vice News was able to get. It raises so many questions, and simple ones for many people. Not only really what is ISIS, but what is unique to ISIS, do you believe, that has allowed them to grow so powerful and so quickly in many people's minds?
Yeah, ISIS as an organisation in different names has existed for a while. Baghdadi at one time was actually arrested and a prisoner in the Iraq positions, in the prisons in Iraq. And one of the first things that President Obama did was actually release him. So he's been around for a while. But what these guys have done is, in the different guises, they've actually managed to bully people through protection money. Some oil companies have relayed stories that they've charged $500,000 a month for protection, and they've raised a lot of money from wealthy donors and from around the world as well. But the key thing that they've done now is they've actually won some battles. They believe God is on their side, and they now have over $2 billion worth of assets, and they're operating in a 21st century jihadi manner. And they're operating almost like a corporate entity. They're issuing annual results, slick recruitment videos. This for them was almost like a tourism video. It was a way for them to recruit people from around the world. And they've actually done something that Al-Qaeda never managed to do, and that is to set up an inverted commas Islamic State, and they're now asking for people to come and join them.
Well, and some of our military analysts, they've looked at just really this unbelievable surge that they have pushed from into Syria as well as into Iraq, and they've said someone within that organization has had war college training because of how they've been able to operate and win some of these battles. What do you know more about that operation?
Yeah, there are people that are war veterans from Chechnya. There are people that have gone from Holland. Let's not forget that they've actually now got foreign fighters from over 80 countries in the world. That's nearly half the countries in the world. And with these foreign fighters, they've had people who used to be in the military, as I said, in Holland and other places, war veterans, and people with expert military and tactical knowledge who have allowed them and brought them into this 21st century jihad as I mentioned, and allowed them to win battles. But more than that, they're indoctrinated to such a fashion that they believe that it's their religious duty and their politically religious duty to actually set up this caliphate, which they've done, and now expand it around the world. And they're looking at this as a long-term project with this indoctrination of children. They're calling for doctors, they're calling for all sorts of people to come to their state. And we've got people now, only today, the newspapers in the UK have reported how there is recruitment going on for ISIS in the streets in London and other countries as well. So this is something that really should be a worry for all of us.
Absolutely. When you talk about that they've had some key wins that has helped their morale, if you will, as well as when you talk about, I mean, quite frankly, they have billions of dollars of assets at this point, which is key to spreading their operation. It's clearly a threat in the Middle East, no question. Is it, how big of a threat is ISIS, do you think, to the United States?
I think ISIS is a huge threat to the whole Western world, not just the United States. As you mentioned, they've got over $2 billion worth of assets. They're earning over $3 million a day from oil revenue, from selling oil on the black market. Baghdadi wants ISIS to be the go-to jihadi organization for the world. And in order to do that, he has to do something that is more renowned than Osama bin Laden did. And we all know what he did and what Al-Qaeda did in New York. And what worries me is that he wants to make a statement. He has these foreign fighters. He has many people who fought there and gone back. In order to make this statement, he will have to do something in the West. And that's what really worries me. If we don't manage to A, tackle ISIS now in the region, and B, in the long term, tackle their ideas and stop people and win people's hearts and minds and stop people from joining them and wanting to join them in the first place, we're going to have a lot more serious threats in the US and around the world, because these guys have got money, motivation, and they're well organized.
Yeah, and that does, of course, then raise many questions that go to not only what can and should be done to stop the threat in Iraq, but of course then from it spreading much further, even here to the even further west, as you pointed out. Harris, Rafiq, thank you so much. It's great to see you. Thanks for your insights on this.
My pleasure.
Of course. Let's take another break. Coming up next, to the touching tributes to Robin.
The question is,
Some of TV's
come on, TV, what the hell is wrong with you?
best. Some of TV's late night shows. We're going to show you how they honor the man who inspired many of us.
We're also very lucky to have had